Moses, a three-pointer, looking to continue a career day, and she knocks it down.
Gets the fast break layup and one.
From the studios of 95.7 The Spin.
Who lays it up and in through the contact of Baylor. What a finish from Emma DeHart. Wasn't even looking at the basket when she threw it up.
Back-to-back three-pointers off back-to-back possessions for the Screaming Eagles.
It's the Stein Show with USI women's basketball head coach Rick Stein.
Lays it up and in, Addie Blackwell, and one.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stein Show, the coach's show with USI head women's basketball coach Rick Stein. In this episode, we get to preview USI's next matchup with Lewis and Illinois-Springfield. Both games are on the road, and USI will be coming out playing for their first game since January 3rd, where the Screaming Eagles had a COVID-19 scare that sidelined them for 14 days. We're also going to talk about USI's the most recent national standings, where the Screaming Eagles actually rank in the top 25. We're going to talk about a little bit about the GLVC standings and so much more. I got Coach Stein coming in, and we're going to start the show right away. Welcome again, Coach Stein, to another edition of the Stein Show. I want to get started talking about something that is, I guess, blowing up the feed, is that USI women's basketball team is nationally ranked at the 18th spot in the D2 SIDA standings. What do you have to say about being nationally ranked?
Well, obviously, it's always neat when your program gets respect, and our players and our staff, our coaches, our university gets noted and respect for doing good things and having success. And obviously, it's just like preseason polls. During the year, polls come out, and I think they're great things. There's nothing wrong with them, but they don't tell every tale about what's going on and what's happening and what you got to accomplish today. Obviously it feels good, but just knowing that we have Southern Indiana on our shirt, but now you've added a national ranking at number 18, it doesn't make it easier when we go to play teams either, because obviously we're hunted anyway, and people want to beat us again. We've had a lot of success for a lot of years, so we're generally at the top of the list on scouting reports, but then you add in that national ranking, and probably just will, I guess, give extra incentive maybe a little bit, but again, it's something our players certainly know, but we're not discussing it and talking about it every day, because you get caught up in something like that and forget how much better we can get as a basketball team, and how much we still have to improve and get as we get ready to go on a really tough road trip this week. So again, I don't want to downplay it. It's good. It's never bad to be nationally ranked, and I think that it feels good for our program, for our players. But at the same time, we didn't treat any of our days since then any differently, and we're just getting ready, trying to get ready to get on this road and take care of some more business at Lewis and at Springfield.
Nationally ranked at 18, and then in the GLVC, standing at second place in the GLVC point rating system standings. What do you have to say about sitting in second, just so close to being in that top spot?
Yeah, there's so much movement going to happen with that. That thing moves every day, and so much of it depends on, obviously, who you're playing that day. Did you win? Did you win at home? Did you win on the road? The people that you've played in the past, like a Lewis, a Lewis win for us, obviously, is a really good win that we had early on, because their winning percentage is sitting 8-4 right now. Now, obviously, if we beat them on the road, we'd get even more points. So, who you play, when you play them, and what's going on with some of the other teams that you played certainly does matter too. But that's why even obviously you want to be in the hunt. You want to be in that top 8 the whole year, but certainly you want to be, we're fighting for a top position. That's definitely what we want to be doing. Obviously, that's we want to consistently be pushing for a regular season, conference championship and tournament championship and all the above, going all the way through it. But a lot of things are going to happen between now and the end of the season. What we have to do is just we got to take care of our business. I say it all the time. If we take care of ourselves, the rest of the league will take care of itself. And pieces will fall into place exactly the way they're supposed to. So again, it's yeah, it's a new week. It's another week, for us in the league, and we're out back on the road again. Obviously, we're a team that's excited to play and hungry to play. We played one game in basically a month. I mean, we've missed 3 opportunities to play because of COVID scenarios and quarantines we've played at Truman State. That's the last, since Christmas, since December 20th, even, when we were at Indy, and we haven't played many games. We haven't played much basketball. And certainly I think our team's excited to get back after it. And I'm excited to see us play. I can't wait to see us, get in uniform again and get out of some practice gear for sure.
And as you mentioned, Lewis will be on Thursday at Romeoville, Illinois. What are your expectations from the Flyers?
Well, Lewis is playing great. They're playing great basketball right now. They're sitting 8-4, and I think they had won 5 straight at one point in time. They had a tough 1-point loss to Illinois-Springfield last week. They basically played them 2 times in 3 days, and they won 1 and lost 1. But Lewis is playing really good. They're a very good basketball team. They've got some young kids that have really stepped up, with some of their veterans, and again, it's a program that's been a perennial in our league for a lot of years now, they're 12 games into their season. We're 7 games, so they've played 5 more basketball games than us, and basically all of those have been since Christmas. So we certainly can't use that as an excuse. What we got to do is we got to gear up, and that's what we've been talking about with our team in practice is how can we make sure that every ounce of our practice time is just like a game, and we haven't had a lot of practice time as we've come back from quarantine scenarios. You got a 5-day return to play protocol. You can't touch, you can't. There's you kind of build it back up, and it's a good thing. It's smart, but it's obviously even limit our practice time. So again, games are coming, and we're excited about that. And Lewis, a heck of a team, and they're playing really good. And obviously, we've got a good win under our belt at our place against them. If we could get this sweep against Lewis, it certainly would go a long way. Not just to get us back going again, but just I think a long way for our entire season, our schedule as we move forward.
2 players that are probably most definitely in the scouting report, Badali and Galuza. They put up double digits against USI in the last game. How are you going to be able to stop them in this matchup?
The thing, you're talking about some good players without question, but one of the things I've noticed even as we've watched tape and done scout and talked them up even more is she's playing a lot of players, and they're finding production from a lot of different places right now. And they've had different players step up at different times. There's a few teams in our league that we could talk about, boy, we really have to stop those 2. And if we can stop those 2, because they do most of the scoring or most of the production for them, here's our Lewis scout, and it's pretty thick, and there's a lot in it, and it's Coach Karp's scout this week. And one of the things that I could tell you on this, there are 3 full pages of personnel, because they're going to play a lot of players, and they're going to go deep into their bench, and again, that's one of the things that I certainly know has been a huge factor for us is our bench play, our depth, and how good our 12 has played night in and night out. And I think you can certainly talk about a few players of theirs, but our team better be ready for depth and knowing that they can get production from a lot of different places. And we're going to have to slow them down. It's a team it gets a lot. I mean, they're scoring 71, 72 a game, and they're doing that consistently night in and night out. Obviously, we held them to 52 here at our place, which was a huge accomplishment, because they're getting 72 a game. That means the rest of the games they're scoring a lot of points. So again, our team defense will be challenged, and we're certainly going to have to take care of business there. But also, with Lewis and I don't know if you remember the game is when it came to the turnover scenario, we had a few stretches of turnovers that really turned the game towards them, and when we started to take care of the ball, we obviously turned it back toward us. So obviously, defense is going to be important for us, but we got to make sure we limit mistakes and limit turnovers against this team.
And then in the game against Lewis, it felt like so long ago. The end of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter really felt like it was all USI, went on a big stretch, scored over 20 points in that fourth frame alone. How will you keep the momentum on your side for the majority of the game, not just the second half?
Well, it's one of the things we definitely have been talking about is getting off to better starts. I think that our last, not only our last game, but our last handful of games, we haven't started the way we've wanted to start, and when I think even of the Lewis game, it was definitely a game of runs. Basketball's that anyway, but it is a game of runs. We started off pretty good, then all of a sudden, it looked like we got our lead to 8 or 10 or whatever it was. It looked like we might continue to build on it. Then all of a sudden we had 5-6 turnovers in a stretch that was like this long, and then they made us pay for those turnovers. Obviously, we can't defend when you're giving the ball in the full court, and we're going to see pressure from end to end for 40 minutes. They're going to be in our face. They're going to deny the ball in, and all of our players are going to have to handle the pressure. It's not just about our point guard or our 1 and 2 guards or whatever. That they will come at different times. So they'll trap at different times. They certainly are going to pressure us. And taking care of the ball is going to be a part of it. We don't want to give them those 8-point runs because boom, boom, boom. That you get 3 quick turnovers and all of a sudden they've got a lead or they cut into a lead, whatever it is. And again, you talked about our third and fourth quarter, late in the third, fourth quarter. We certainly, I don't know how many turnovers we had, but it was a low number. We went from I think we had 19 for the game. I would venture to say most of those were not in the last quarter, in the last half of the third quarter. We played better basketball. We were better with the ball. We made fewer mistakes, and because of that, we obviously put up a good number and held them to a lower number and got a good home victory.
And Lewis, again, one of the original teams of the GLVC, joined the conference in 1981, just a couple years ago, don't worry. But could you talk about the history of traveling out to Lewis and experiencing that, I guess you would say, GLVC road atmosphere?
Yeah, obviously, the league started long before I got here, but they've been in it from the beginning, but obviously even as a player, I started going there in 1989, and as a player, and such a tough place to play. Obviously, their fan support is pretty good. They got a small gym, but they could put some people in it. Obviously, that's not going to be the case this year, but it certainly is a tough environment, tough place to play. It's always been a good trip for me and a neat trip for me because my family is from the south suburbs up there, so they live probably 30-35 minutes from Lewis University. So it's time, my mom and dad, my brother, and family and friends, it is a good trip for me because that was always a chance where they could, get a chance to see me play, but also I could see them and spend some time with them too. But so a lot of memories, even as a coach. I mean, I can't tell you the last time they weren't in the gym at Lewis. Heck, obviously our men won the regional up there, a few years ago. My son was playing, and my mom was there, family, my brother. It was such a neat thing when it comes to that experience too. But yeah, they're really good, and they're really good at home. And just like every other team in our league, they know what it means to play on your home court and how important it is. We're going to have to be better. We're going to have to be 10 to 15 points better to just win by 1 or 2 points at their place. And that's what we're prepping for and preparing for right now. Again, they had a tough road loss, got back home against Indy and got a good home win on Saturday. And of course, we know Indy's a good club too. So they're back on track. They got a winning streak going, and so do we. And it just seems like ours was a long, long time ago. But looking forward to the challenge for sure.
And let's switch gears over to Illinois-Springfield. It was a much larger victory back in December. Only held them to 49 points. That's a great number to keep them by. But how will you be able to duplicate the win, but on the road?
Yeah, we haven't really even discussed or talked to Illinois-Springfield much. Coach Gatling's got that scout, and I know she's been hard at it for sure. But, again, it's a good basketball team. They really can defend. They were big and physical, and they used it. They used their physicality against us. And I remember, boy, there was – I don't know if it was the start of that game or whatever the stretch was, but it seemed like neither team was going to score a bucket. I mean, it was back and forth. Man, nobody can make a play. Nobody can make a bucket. But I would say this, I think it's because both teams defend, and both teams defend well. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the league. I think and that they were then, and I think they are now, and they really hurt us on the boards too on both ends. But things that certainly when you get on this road and you're playing that Saturday 1:00 game, it's a tough situation. Those Thursday, Saturday scenarios aren't easy. You're going from one place to another. You're going hotel to hotel. And on top of it, we're back to classes this week, even though they're not in person. Our players are students first, and they'll be hitting the classroom hard and virtually, and all of a sudden homework's back into play, and you got tests and those kind of things jump in there. So we the focus of it will be important, and that's not just one or the other. That's for both, and certainly hope that when we get to Saturday, we're talking, hey, we got a chance to get a good road sweep, and if we're talking that means we got a good win at Lewis, and we're hunting a sweep on the road, which is hard to do for anybody. And
like I mentioned, held the Prairie Stars to just 49 points. What are you expecting out of your defense for Lewis and Illinois-Springfield this weekend?
I thought we got better defensively. We've gotten better since Christmas, and that first quarter at Truman State wouldn't have told you that, Tailby, when we gave up 30. Because I remember that week saying, man, I thought our man-to-man defense, I thought our defense had improved. We'd really worked on it in practice, and then Truman came out so hot and started knocking down shots, and I was saying, man, maybe we're not good at defense as I thought, But as that game wore on, I definitely thought that our defensive intensity rose to the occasion, and we played better. And again, there's ways you can keep winning games, even if the ball doesn't go in the basket. You maybe can't make an open shot. Maybe the ball rolls off the rim. You got to keep defending. And again, we held Lewis to 52 and Springfield to 49 that week they were here. And boy, if we could do that on the road, I'd feel pretty good about our chances anyway. But certainly hope that we can continue to build on the defensive end and good things that we saw there and we've seen there. And if we do, I think we're going to have a chance to win every night.
And you touched a little bit on the turnovers. 40 combined between Lewis and Illinois-Springfield when you played them back in December. How will you be able to limit the turnovers?
Yeah, it's amazing. You throw out those numbers, and we had two W's, and certainly was the kind of the way of those two games, and we were forcing them, and so was the other team, and I don't know if you'd call it sloppy play as much as just hard, tough-nosed play on both ends, and both teams really making it hard for the other team to not only just make shots, but to move the ball, to get the ball from one position to another, and I think our basketball team is really learning each other a lot more, our combinations, and how we can help each other to be more successful, with the ball in hand or with the ball not in hand. Whether it's screen-aways or down screens or back screens or what kind of pass does another player are they more apt to catch compared to maybe another player or whatever it is. And again, it's I think we saw a little bit of that in the Truman State game. I'm sorry I keep going back to that one, but that's the only one we played since Christmas. So, we put up a good number that game. I think some of it was because of our defense, and certainly some of it was because I thought we ran good offense. I thought we got good opportunities from the offensive end too. So, you have a combination of things where we're trying to improve, and again, we had a week where we were doing nothing, and certainly with quarantines and those kind of things. But we've come back, and got back to work, and I like the practices we've had. Where we haven't played a game in a long time, but again, we try to practice the way you play the games, and hopefully these things can show up, and we're going to be a better basketball team come Thursday.
No Hannah Haythcock in the last matchup against Truman State. She didn't even make the road trip up to Kirksville. Will she be able to be back for this road trip? And if so, how much of an impact will she be able to make?
Nathaniel, right now we're practicing 12 players, and we have 12 on that roster. So that's a good thing. Every day that could change, and for certainly different reasons. And we know that. We've seen it. We haven't, I don't think we've played one game this year. We played 7 games. I don't think we've played one with all 12 of our players available. Because of injuries or other reasons. But what you can't do is you can't make excuses of it and for it, and you have to keep pushing forward. And that's where I said earlier, we have 12 really good players, and they're all ready for whatever challenge is coming, and you got to be ready to step up to it, because at any given time, we might not have a player or 2 or 4 with us, and that's kind of just some of the nature of the beast we're dealing with right now. But Hannah's back working out with us. She's had a good week of practice. She's and it's great to see her. It's great to have her back. And again, early on we didn't have Ashton Brown. We didn't have Addie Blackwell. I mean, it's no fun, not having. It's so fun not having players with us and available. And I feel mostly for them, because nobody wants to miss a game. There's you work your tail off all year round for a handful of opportunities. Generally we have a chance to play a 26 game schedule. You get 28 if you play opening game, regional games, that kind of situation. This year it's 22. And again, we've already missed 3. So and even though we've rescheduled them, that doesn't mean we're going to get to 22. I mean, we're at 7 games right now, and it's going on the end of January. So I certainly hope we get to finish this schedule out and play every single game, and I hope every single one of our players is with us and able, and our coaches too, and our coaches too, willing and are able and capable and out there, and if that's the case, I think obviously it's a good thing all the way around, and I look forward to seeing our basketball team play basketball.
And with COVID and quarantine and not being able to practice for such a long amount of time, do you feel like your players are near or even at 100% to be able to play Thursday and Saturday?
Well, I mean, physically we're fine. Mentally we're fine. It's that. Yeah, I mean, again, we just haven't had a uniform on in a while, and but that's just the stretch of the situation we're in with COVID, and again, our plan is to get on a bus tomorrow and head to Lewis, but that could change in an hour. That could change in 10 minutes, and from things that are happening with other teams, let alone just ours. So there's a lot of factors that come into play. All we can do is just stay as ready as humanly possible. How ready we can be, and keep preparing the same way. We're following protocols to the T. I mean, we're doing exactly the way we're supposed to do it when it comes to the pillars and those kind of things that are set in the league, the things that are set on our campus and in athletics, and even our return to play protocol that we had to go through because we did have some time off because of quarantine. You do it all right, and then you just put your team in the best position that we can put them in to have success. Our team, our team is competitive. We want to win. And it's not just, hey, boy, I'm glad we get to play a game, which we are, but at the same time, if we're going to play it, we certainly want to compete and do our best to win it. This bunch is certainly that way. How close are we to game ready? Well, we're as close as we're going to get for what we had, and we're certainly not going to make any excuses if we're a step slow. But that's not going to be that's not going to be talked about as we move into the Lewis game. It's going to be about about playing USI basketball and how we're going to have a chance to beat Lewis on Thursday.
And you mentioned once again that University of Southern Indiana did start classes actually today on Tuesday. But again, your team's going to be traveling all weekend. How will you be accommodating to your players to make sure they're starting off the semester the right way in the classroom?
Yeah, it's, the first week back, and obviously we're back and not, there's no in-person classes yet, but the importance of understanding that, we are student athletes, and student does come first, and that is, certainly the number one thing. And we've scheduled in already study time on the road. Obviously, we're blessed to have scenarios where even on the bus with internet and things like that, as long as it's working, and hopefully it's working, that they can stay in tune to what's going on with classes and updates or notes or whatever it is that we need to take care of business at that time. The road is we don't get away from the work, of the classroom. The class time is excused because we're traveling for university reasons. It's a scheduled contest, in our league, but that doesn't mean the workload is off of these young women. They're still in class. They're still taking care of business. If they miss a quiz or a test, that has to get made up or done early. And all these things are back on us again for sure right now. And time management's important, and we certainly try to help our players from start to finish to make sure that their time is managed correctly. Because when we get away, it doesn't just stop. Okay, road tripping is going to be great. Well, no, we're still student athletes the whole way through, and got a lot of work to do even though we're on the road.
And for my final question, I want to end on a note about Martin Luther King Jr. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. A lot of the university was, taking to social media about his dream and what it meant to them. I just want to ask you, what does his dream mean to you personally and for your team?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad you brought it up, and you're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and his lasting legacy and the things that we certainly are still working to achieve, but what he started and is amazing. We yesterday as a team we practiced at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. I'm sorry. The Multicultural Center here on campus had a MLK Day celebration, and we had a chance to watch that as a team together in the locker room, and certainly the more you hear, the more you see that when you hear other people talk about how their experience and their experiences are happening right now, but also from what Martin Luther King Jr. had done, so many years ago, and how that affects people today. Also, this week, I know you asked questions earlier even about Strength of 17, and what that means for our, student athletes, but all of our athletics, coaches and staff and administration and student athletes. A lot of things going on this week, and things that we're certainly trying to keep our student athletes involved in, the initiative is right, and it's right on. You're seeing it in our league also, from the GLVC with with the social injustice that is happening and things that are happening in our country every single day. And a lot of it never gets seen. A lot of it never gets talked about. And certainly when you get to this point in time, and you're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy and honoring that, that's certainly something that as a team we wanted to do and did and are doing, throughout, obviously, I hope not only yesterday, but this week and this month and with everything we're dealing with, as we move forward throughout the year and years, So, again, Ms. Hobson in a multicultural center, she's a pretty amazing woman, and the event she put on yesterday again was top notch. We generally get over there to do it in person. Obviously, with COVID and what's going on, it wasn't meant to be that way this year, but it certainly didn't take away from the event that it was yesterday. And I think the experience our players got out of it too, and our students and our athletes and our coaches, listening to people and in their experiences and what's going on in their lives in today's world too.
All right. Thank you again, Coach, for sitting down, talking again for a good 30 minutes. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk to you.
I appreciate it, Nathaniel. Yeah, it's good to see you again. And obviously I hope to see you in a gym somewhere sometime soon. At least I'm hoping it's Thursday. That's obviously the mindset, and appreciate you doing this and having me on again, and look forward to keeping going the rest of the season.
I'll see you in Romeoville, hopefully.
Thanks, Nathaniel. Take care, man.
Take care.